Now we're talking to Gregg Easterbrook. He is author of the very, very popular Tuesday Morning Quarterback column. The King of Sports, Why Football Must Be Reformed is the name of the book. Now, your book is about something that I've been talking about for a while, something I've been interested in for a very long time, and that is the reformation or just kind of things going on in the world of football and why it's so important to America and kind of what's going on with it right now. It's in a really odd spot, don't you agree?
Well, obviously the NFL is getting clobbered right now in the court of public opinion.
Now, wasn't it a lot more fun when the biggest controversy in football was if Michael Sam would be accepted into the league?
Yeah, you're saying the good old days were 6 months ago. Yeah. Certainly football is more fun if you don't have to think about its sociological impact, but increasingly people do. I think we're ever more aware of the boundary line between sports and society. And the fun aspect of football has never been better. The games are great, but the sociological impact is giving people more and more pause.
Now, I'm interested in the idea of the games being great. I think that they are in almost every way. I'm kind of the opinion that in most sports now, the athletes, because of conditioning, because they've grown up just kind of being bred to be athletes almost, that the athletes now, by and large, are probably the best that they've ever been physically, with a couple of all-star exceptions. But the question is, with things like the Thursday night game being added, and with the talk of additional weeks of the NFL season, do you think that's going to kind of dilute the field of play a little bit in terms of quality of football games?
Well, I certainly think it would dilute interest. In the King of Sports, I say that there's no law of nature that says that the NFL must stay as popular as it is today. One of the reasons that pro football is so popular is there's only 256 games, so each game seems significant. If we keep adding more games and more weeks, I think a point will come where people get sick of it, and it would be better if we never reach that point.
Yeah, I agree. I have a lot of questions about what the NFL is going to look like in 5 years, 10 years, because of things like people being injured, the head injury discussions, and them getting rid of things like the kickoff. Is that going to really have a tangible effect on the quality of the game, do you think?
I think there are big changes in the way the game is played is coming, and I think traditionalists will complain and then get used to them and be happy. One thing is likelihood of elimination of the kickoff, or maybe confining the kickoff to the final 2 minutes of each half. I think we're going to eliminate the three-point stance. Take a look, watch any football game this coming weekend, and take a look at how the lines face each other at the snap. The linemen's heads collide when the ball is snapped. If you eliminated the 3- and 4-point stance, so you had to start the play with your hands on your knees, head impacts would go way down, and the quality of the game would not suffer at all.
Now, do you think that there needs to be significant changes in the, whether it's headgear that the players wear or the tactical parts like no longer heading, helmet-to-helmet hits and spearing people and things like that? Will those changes be made anytime soon that will protect the players more so than now?
NCAA, NFL, and the National Federation of High School that supervises most high school sports all have made reduction of deliberate helmet-to-helmet contact, a big point of officiating emphasis in the last few years. And deliberate helmet-to-helmet contact, I can tell you because I go to an awful lot of football games, deliberate helmet hits are way down. The structural problem with football is it's impossible to play the game without the players accidentally hitting each other helmet-to-helmet. And how can you penalize somebody for an accidental helmet-to-helmet hit? That's the structural problem of the game that's troubling in the long run.
Now, do you think things will be affected by parents not letting their kids play youth football? I mean, guys like Arian Foster and John Lynch have come out and said that they wouldn't let their kids play Pee Wee or Mighty Mites or Pop Warner or whatever type of football, and you kind of need that solid foundation to have good high school programs, good college programs, and obviously lead to the pros. Do you think that that's going to have any effect on the future of football?
Well, I'm of two minds about that. I wonder when you hear people say that, Terry Bradshaw, others have said it. It does sound to me somewhat hypocritical to say this made me rich, but I think other people shouldn't be allowed to do it. Now, on the other hand, if you listen to Archie Manning, his sons, Eli and Peyton, turned out to be pretty good quarterbacks. He would not let them play tackle football till they reached middle school. I had two sons. I didn't let them play tackle football till they reached middle school. One went on to be a starter in the NCAA. All the pediatric research shows that the brain case is too vulnerable at younger ages to participate in a head-to-head contact sport. So I'm sorry for any youth coaches out there or parents or kids who are participating in youth football, but I think nobody should play youth football. I think that tackle football should start when you reach middle school.
Interesting. That's very interesting. I haven't even thought about that. I heard Arian Foster, the way he phrased it was, I'm playing football so my kids don't have to, so they'll have the opportunity. Now that, I've got money, I can give them an opportunity to do something that's, he almost implies that he only saw it as a way out as opposed to a passion of his,
Well, it's if you make the NFL, and of course most players don't, but if you make the NFL, the money is pretty good, and if you become a star, which Arian Foster is, the money is great. Whether his kids could even make the NFL, or whether most kids could even make the NFL, I don't know. If you think of a young man starting high school and thinking, should I spend my time and my energy on football or in the classroom, he's 1,000 to 1 more likely to be a success if he spends his time and energy in the classroom, because that leads to a college degree, and that leads to, for most people, to a good job. Whereas focusing on football is statistically extremely unlikely ever to do you any good.
Now we're talking to Gregg Easterbrook. He is author of the very, very popular Tuesday Morning Quarterback column. The King of Sports, Why Football Must Be Reformed is the name of the book. Now we've talked a lot about professional football. What do you say to people who say too much emphasis is put on sports, especially football, in colleges?
Oh, I think that's a big worry. The way the money has gone up in the last 20 years, there's so much money in college football. There's also incredible emphasis on other sports, including the sports that lose money. You will hear some people say there shouldn't be any sports in colleges. Our colleges should be like the colleges of Europe, which don't have any athletic affiliations. They're just places to study. I do not object to the presence of sports on college campuses. I think sports is something that makes college exciting and desirable, just like the theater department and the orchestra make college exciting and desirable. I just think that sports has gotten out of proportion. It gets far too much attention, far too much money. The money and the hoopla have to be scaled back. But keeping sports affiliated with colleges, that itself seems fine to me.
It's incredibly interesting to me that things are almost the way in American college sports, the way that they are in, for example, European soccer, where it's a lot less about geography in some cases than it is your social class, and things like Auburn versus Alabama, UVA versus Virginia Tech. They take on a much more socioeconomic role in their culture than they do a football game. It's more about this is my background versus those people's background, and it's very much tied to the community.
I guess there's a class aspect in U.S. football. Take the examples of UVA versus Virginia Tech. 50 years ago, UVA would have considered, even 25 years ago, would have had its nose in the air. It was a snobby school. Virginia Tech was a school for average people. Virginia Tech has gone up so much in the world that those two schools are practically equal in status right now. But maybe you can find examples where it's a status thing. I think people just love their local colleges because they represent the local community.
Now, going back to professional sports, I got to get your take on, real quickly, on Roger Goodell, all the people calling for him to be fired. To me, isn't the reason he's getting $44 million a year to be the fall guy for the owners in situations like we're seeing right now, whether it's domestic abuse or drunk driving or concussions or anything like that? Isn't that kind of his role, to be the punching bag for the public so the owners don't have to hear the heat?
The line that I've used about Roger Goodell is he is the world's highest paid intern. He does not have any real power. He represents the owners. They have the real power. Yes, his job is to be ridiculed and denounced and laughed at, and they pay him $44 million a year. I would be willing to be ridiculed for $44 million a year. Most people would.
Right.
So I think one of the things that could happen as a result of the current scandal around the NFL is Goodell may get fired, and then everybody say, look, they fired Roger Goodell, and now things are really going to change. Firing Goodell wouldn't change anything, because the owners are the problem, not Roger Goodell. I don't think he should be paid so much, because the NFL is a not-for-profit, and it's kind of outrageous that a not-for-profit pays someone that much money. But he personally, whether he stays or goes, doesn't tell you anything about what the owners are going to do.
The book is called The King of Sports, Why Football Must Be Reformed. If you have ever read Gregg Easterbrook's column, Tuesday Morning Quarterback, you know it's going to be a fascinating read. So check that out. Greg, I got to say, it's been a complete pleasure talking to you. Thanks so much for your time.
Thank you for having me.
Take care.